That is to a happy tree. It has a smiley face.
Why doesn't the sun why do the sun not happy? Because the sun is
Okay, the sun being happy is a really, really overused misconception.
And
The sun and Mother Earth are friends, right? But they're 93 million miles away from each other. Very far. And the sun is a ball of molten lava.
It's a thing. It has feelings because of issues right now. Like, it doesn't want to be happy.
So,
It's sad now this year we're tears.
who's speculating that I've lost my mind? Who's speculating that I've lost my mind? Why are we discussing what? Today? March 1st! Right? Happy March! Alright, so here's what's up, for real. I need you guys to focus. Even though I had initially planned out, let's start the test tomorrow, and then we'll finish next week, whatever. Because I want to collect your math journals, and need to, and if you don't turn it in, you're going to start the new quarter with not progressing, so that's not going to be a good idea. I need all of your math journals by next Tuesday, right? Because most of you, hopefully, won't be here Wednesday, Thursday. So, tomorrow, we're going to make a work day, catch-up question, whatever, and do the test Monday, Tuesday. So we're pushing the test off of this week into what? What? Are you upset by that? Oh, so, choir students, if you're going to be gone for rehearsal, you may start it tomorrow if you want. Okay.
Just in this class, we're going to be here for like 30 minutes.
On Monday? Because you guys don't leave till like 9:30 or whatever. So, like, I think between that half hour and the whole time Tuesday, I think you guys will be fine. I'd rather us all start it Monday, just so you know we're not like in different places and whatever else. So, yeah, I do have to take that into consideration for accelerated 7 because they'll miss the whole class, but you guys should be okay. So, we should all have books open to the closure section. Who can hook me up with a page number, Francesca? What's our page number there? Oh, you're not even on it yet? 370? 371, right around there? What? So, getting angry real fast. So, start working these problems. Please take into consideration, if you struggle on these problems, you will struggle on the mastery. So you need to ask about them now and get help now. It'd be much better to start quarter 4 with a mastery right out of the gate as opposed to something you need to revise. So, get over yourself. A lot of you are like, well, I'm just not going to ask a question because I'm too good for that. I can't possibly look unintelligent. No. The smartest people in the world ask the most questions. Because you identify what you don't know and you want to know it. So take a look at closure. I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes, and then we'll start solving problems all together. You don't have to work with me. If you're totally fine to just rock through those problems on your own, awesome. But once people hit some snags, we'll work with you. You should have brought it or should have got it in the past 10 minutes that we've been in this room. I like the face you made, but I say that a lot. People need to get over themselves. You gotta get over that. Like, oh no, I can't ask. I can't raise my hand. Get over it. Hey, reminder, all of the answers to this homework and / classwork, since we're doing it today, are on page 376. So if you want verification, did I do this right? Check that. Then if you did it wrong, you should probably ask the question. guys can totally work together. That's the whole point. You guys can always work together once it's assessment. I mean, how you had it written, the x minus 2, that's totally fine also. But you can say plus. But, so that was negative 2. So that. So just announced that I decided to modify it a little bit. Tuesday, whenever you're done with this chapter, but by Tuesday, because Tuesday's the last day we're working on the test. That's totally fine. That shows you how to work through the problem. So the last thing you do is divide by 2, right? Because it's 2 times x. So when you do that for this, you need to put that x in 1. That's just working us through a reminder of how to do it. This is for solving that equation. Your disadvantage is you're looking at this thing. You're looking at this thing. So yeah, that's, I'll throw it back on the screen. But, what's that?
You know how for your thumbnail for your video is just the first frame?
Oh, yeah, or like it picks like it's not always just the first frame. It's like one of the first. So it might be the slide with the homework and stuff. A lot of times it ends up being wrong. And a poorly drawn like and a sun that may or may not be outside. Just the sun. Alright, so I gave you a head start so that I can random call on people, and you don't have to be working with me, but just help me as we go. This is not meant to be high stress or anything, so if you want to pass, you can pass. But this will let you know, are you ready for it any moment? Like if I gave you an equation halfway through a solution, could you figure it out? Question one.
Oh, I know the answer.
Do you think I want the answer just to begin with?
I know, but
Everybody can flip the page and find the answer.
I mean,
What do I start with, Delaney?
okay, so for Nat A, you would put 3x plus 2, and then equal sign to x plus negative 2.
I like the use of plus a negative. Then, Patrick, what do I do next? I can add positive 2 on both sides to get rid of the negative 2 or make a 0 pair, which then gives me 3x plus 4 equals x. Liam, what do I do next? So the only constant values we have are on the left-hand side right now, and I have variables on both sides. We can. That will leave us with 2x plus 4 equals 0. Guys, again, this doesn't have to be the route that you took, but what he told me to do was something we were allowed to do. Nathan, at this point, what do I do? Not yet. I mean, I can, but the problem I'm facing is I have a 0 over here. So we could divide by 2, and actually I'll go down that route since you told me to. If we divide by 2, everything gets divided by 2. So I could draw one big line if we want. And that gives me x plus 2, but still is equal to 0. I need x by itself. So Grant, what could I do now to get x by itself? What's with the x right now? How's it held together? What's the inverse operation? So if we subtract, this is doubtful to be the way that you took, but you should have gotten -2.
Yes.
Now, if I were doing this solution, I would have subtracted the 4 right here and moved it over, or right here. But what they told me to do, all the random people I called on, was allowed. It was allowed, but you just have to be careful that you follow the process. If I divide before I subtract, that's okay, but I got to divide everything. Please make sure we're working along, doing this homework, this assignment. This will be part of the homework check, the math journal check. So I'm collecting your math journals by Tuesday, but somebody just asked, well, when I get it done, can I turn it in? Yeah, if it's done like today, if it's done tomorrow, whenever it's done, you can turn it in. But then, when we come back to quarter 4, we're starting new math journals. Right? A lot of us, our math journals are getting pretty full. New math journals. I have a bunch. If you have lost or don't have your other one, I have some I can give you guys. We're going to move in. Any questions on number 1? Anybody have issues? Number 2 is more complicated. You want to start it? Sure, you can start.
So on the left side, we'll have 2x.
You're going to do everything, aren't you? Let me just keep going. You're good.
Plus negative x. Plus 3. Plus negative 3.
This is becoming problematic for me. Okay.
And on the right side, we have 3x plus negative 2x.
Yeah, if you guys are working on your own problems, keep going. You can talk, it's fine. Keep it down a little bit because some people might need help with this stuff. But if you're still working, just keep rolling. Plus a lot of 0 pairs here, right? So after we deal with the 0 pairs, which are here and here, I'm still going to have some reducing to do. What do we end up with, Grant?
X equals x.
So 2x minus x gives us x. 3x plus negative 2x gives us x. Weird. What does this mean? X can be anything, and our answer is all real. Preguntas? Questions? I say this. It's I think one of the most fun Spanish words. Preguntas. Think about it. Caballo means horse. Why does horse mean horse?
Well, why do we name it horse?
All right, moving on to 42. I'm not doing every single part of these questions like the ABC or the check the answers. C over here asks, if x equals 4, would it change your answer? No, x doesn't matter. Right now we've figured out x actually doesn't matter in this situation. It can be anything. Serena. Serena's playing a spinner game. She found the probability of, or sorry, she's trying to find the probability and has a few fractions. Kate, how do I determine the probability of getting a yellow or blue? Add all the fractions together? Yeah, so I had yellow and blue together, right? So probability of yellow or blue. Yellow is 2/5. Blue is 1/6. So I just get 3/11, right? Guys, this, I'm not joking. People are still trying to do this. Sorry, not sevens. People are still trying to do addition like multiplication. This is not true. This is not true ever, nowhere close. What do we need before we add fractions? Anyway, common denominators, and then we don't do anything with them, right? Once we get them common, it just carries across. What would be a common denominator between 5 and 6? 30. So how do I get to 30 here? Are you working these problems? Do you look like you're taking a nap? Well, can't that now. So we multiply by 6, so that becomes 12 over 30. Multiply here by 5, so 5 over 30. And we get 17 30th. 17 is a nice prime number, and we cannot reduce. Why do you look sad about that? You had some face on it. Are you solving this? I'm surprised that when I look out, more like people are just staring at me. If I was you, I'd be trying to get this all done right now today. Like, you don't wait for me. Questions? Adding fractions. Very important skill. What is the probability of not getting red? Now, a question just like this was on our last mastery. If we know the probability of something, and we're asked the probability of not that something, what's the easiest way? The goal is to make your life easy. Ella? So you said, I'm struggling here, you said we have the whole. So we say like 1 for that, right? So 1 is the whole thing total. Take away what? A third, because red has a probability of a third. What's that leave you with? The rest of the thing must be anyway. Yep. Ask Mr. Kabilo to hear his bear story.
Oh,
yeah, that was
We were at one because they had to whisper. Are you awake? Yeah, I think there's a bear. Yes, so do I.
We're gonna go down together.
So, Mr. Kabilo, I might like talk about climbing and stuff a lot, but Mr. Kabilo is pretty awesome and like very outdoorsy. He tried to take on a bear, but you need to ask him for the story. So, a bear, like a bear.
a bear.
Yes.
Like,
Like we're going on a bear. What?
Yes.
Okay. Probability of green. Patrick?
1 to 10.
How? It doesn't give it to me.
If you have to figure out like the whole total, so you have to get like 20, you have to figure out all like the red, yellow, blue all together. Once you figure out the total to 30, then you get the rest. It's a bit hard to explain. So you have to find common denominators for red, yellow, and blue, and then when you add them together, they don't give you the total, but then when you add the remaining to get 1.
We found out this whole region first, right? What was blue and yellow together? 17 30ths, right? If I make this 30ths, what is it? 10 30ths, right? how many 30ths have we already taken up? 27. So green, the only thing left is how many 30ths? 3. I knew you knew what you were trying to say. It is just weird to explain. And guys, don't do work you don't need to do. I keep trying to get people to work efficiently. I feel bad when you waste your time. We already knew this. We already had a common denominator. A lot of math, as you learn it, is trying to help you realize, oh, if I have this information, I should use that. As opposed to setting up a whole new addition of all 3 fractions. That would be kind of annoying. So that comes out to be a reduced form 1/10. Or if we were looking for percentages, what percent? 10%. 10%. 10 is 10%. Questions? Any of them, if you're working ahead, any of these look hard that you want us to jump to? Because it'd be better if tomorrow we could just use as a straight up workday, catch up, study, practice, or whatever else you need to do for any other part. That's what we're doing. If you missed the announcement at the beginning. But if we still have closure to do, and you guys haven't done it, we're going to continue to, if you don't do it for homework. So if you don't do it for homework, I'm just saying I'll still do it for you tomorrow. Now, this is stuff we haven't been very direct with learning yet. We haven't done much with geometry. When we are being asked a scale factor, who can talk to how we figure out a scale factor? And it tells me from A to B, so we're going this way, from A to B. What is a scale factor? Kate? So you're right, but wrong at the same time. And that's what's tricky about math, right? Scale factors can't divide. Scale factors have to be multiplied.
Are you serious?
I'm always serious. Well, no, I'm not always serious. So, if... Okay, when I met Marvin at the beginning of the year at our advisory conference, never ever did I think I would hear him tell somebody to shut up, let alone just what? Shut up, Grant. All right, Grant, we love you. Don't shut up. So it can't be multiplied by 4 because we get smaller.
We got that on video.
I know, yeah. Evidence. There's evidence there, Marvin. Be careful. That will help us out. If instead of saying division by 4, we are trying to say multiplication, how do I do it? Multiply by the fraction. So guys, remember, if we don't know how to multiply to get there, which from 12 to 3 is kind of awkward to try to multiply and get there, do the division backwards. So if we don't know how to multiply forwards, do the division backwards. These are the only 2 sides that relate to each other, right? Because this 2.5 would relate here. This 6 would relate over there. The 8 would relate over here. And none of that stuff has been given to us. So we have to use the 2 sides that correspond and then realize you're getting smaller. So you have to multiply by something smaller than 1. Questions on how we figure this out? So then you'd want to notate what the other lengths of the sides are based off what we just figured out. If B is a 4th of A, how long is this edge? 2, right? Because it relates to the 8, and a 4th of that is 2. If we were going from B to A, how do we do it? We weren't originally, but what? Multiply, right? By what? Because we divided by 4 this way, which can't be our scale factor, we have to give the factor of multiplication. But if I go backwards, then I can multiply by 4. What's 2.5 times 4? 10. I'm going to reorient this really quick while you guys finish figuring out those lights. Not actually, probably lunch conversation with you guys is like the best thing. Yeah, I mean, teaching math is like the most rewarding, or what I enjoy the most is some of those like really random conversations and debates that like force.
Like how we can talk about how Martin is.
Oh yeah. It'd be a dude, to have critical thinking discussions with middle schoolers is amazing. All right, so then coming this way, now I'm too low. I got to divide by 4 again, so I'd have 6 over 4, which turns into what? What?
Hey,
1.5. No. It could be 1 2/4 or 1 1/2 as fractions, or 1.5. It could be 1.5, but not 1.15.
That's what I meant.
And then on the bottom, if we're going from B to A, again we multiply, and this turns into E. Questions? Otherwise, we got to be moving on. 5D process. I want to make sure you guys start this on your own, so I'm going to wait a minute. I'm going to highlight some stuff, but then I'm going to wait. Oh, no, don't do 149. Especially because we're doing this together. But 149, guys, is trying to get you to be introspective. Can you tell me what introspective means? You should know from intro and spec, both those stems. Yeah. Yeah, look inward, right? Introspective. So instead of doing 149, my request is that you take time to think to yourself honestly, have one of those conversations where you're like, okay, self is like, okay, am I ready for this math test? Am I ready to set up expressions given verbal scenarios? Am I ready to continue to use the 5D process if I need to? Am I ready to build an equation that can then be solved for a variable? Am I ready to check answers? Like, That's what 149 is asking you to do. Rate yourself from 0 to 10 on each of the problems. Are you ready? So, because of mastery, you guys should be pretty good at like knowing by now kind of where you're at if you're honest with yourself. Some of us still aren't honest with ourselves, but that's what I need you to do for that problem. Aubrey, make sure I get it back, but I know you're good at that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Renaud, can you give me anything here? Anything that will help us? Yeah, perimeter's 30. So we document that. That goes on our list. Alan, what do you got for me?
The length is width times 3, but
So instead of saying width times 3, which is totally correct, we're going to turn it around just to be like more mathematical. 3 times the W. We like to have the multiplier first, then minus the 1. Love it. Which means, Emma, what's my width?
3W divided by 3.
Wait, 3W divided by... Isn't that just W? So width is just W, right? Because we're using W right here to reference its width, we determined the width was W. Now, we can use the 5D process and set up length, width, and then what would that third section be? Well, not necessarily third section, but this is not 145, right? I'm just going to work down here. But if we have our width guess, and then we'd have our length, which we find from the width, which is 3W minus 1. What would be next? What's the next thing we do in the 5D process? We're trying to see if... What do we check here? What do you mean it works? What are we trying to make work? What's the other information we haven't put into the 5D table yet? This third section where we're trying to see if it works is, does the perimeter equal 30? So you have to be able to remember, and this is why your practice work is so important, perimeter of rectangle, both lengths, both widths, and they're the same. Anybody have a guess? Perimeter is 30, so don't give me any numbers that are too high. Liam? 8. Love it. 3 times 8. 24 minus 1. Now, since I know we're going to double this and double that, looks like we're too high, so I get 16 and 46, 62, I think, is what our perimeter here is. We need to bump it down by a good amount. Now, that tells me something interesting, though. If I did that math right, I got a perimeter just about double of what I want. Aubrey? I'll try 3. What's that make the length then? What's 3 times 3? Minus 1. To double my 3, I get 6, plus double my 8, 16. That equals 22. We're not quite there now. We're a bit too low. We're not very far. We're only 8 away now. Ella?
4.
Try 4. Bump up a tiny bit. That means 3 times 4 minus 1. Double my 4 for both of my widths gives me 8. Double my 11. Ah, buddy. I'm going to give you the last 4 minutes to work on 145 on your own. We'll pick up tomorrow. Also bring any remaining questions from anywhere in your math journal. You might be taken aback if you say, like, I have a question from the first homework, but that's okay. You have the weekend to recover also. But guys, please, the reason I said I was apprehensive, do not look at this as, oh, I don't need to do anything tonight. We have a work day tomorrow. If you have past homeworks to do, you got to get those done. It would be best for you to work the rest of these problems outside of class, check them, come back. If you have any issues, let's work those tomorrow. If you're done with your math and your math journal is ready tomorrow, you can work on stuff for other classes. I know you've got a lot of things rolling. Bless you. So, if tomorrow, because then I'm going to shut up and give you the last few minutes, if tomorrow you know you'll be done with math before like the end of class, bring something else to work on. Okay? Take the last like 4 or 5 minutes. Guys, nobody should be packing up. You have this time to continue solving problems.